We've got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
It threw me off there a little bit, Jared.
I had you ever just start talking and then spit stuff happens in your mouth and you kind of choke on it for a second? I'm honestly happy I didn't choke. I did everything I could to not choke. If I were a lesser man, I'd say, you know what, Kyle, let's throw this away and let's start over. I don't roll like that, Kyle. And yes, segue.
Speaking of choking, Jared, Team Chaos taking teams on week 10.
Souls. Well, I mean, someone had to lose in Tennessee, Georgia, but we still had some fun ones.
Yeah.
We still had some fun ones.
We did. So, for those who are new, welcome. This is our Collegiate Chaos episode where we talk about the games that is not Ohio State related from this past weekend. We'll talk about them a little bit, and then we will do our grading. We'll grade teams S tier down to B tier. S tier being our top 4 teams for the playoffs. A teams for
Kyle.
Teams that. Yes.
Don't forget about M tier.
I'll get there. The A tier, who's on the cusp of potentially could make their way into the S tier, and B tier is we'll keep an eye on them. And then everybody else is in C tier, and then you have the M tier where the choking happens.
Those are the choke. Those are the choke masters.
Yes. Let's jump right into it. Well, I order them here, Jared, in rankings from the previous week here.
Okay.
So we'll start with Tennessee and Georgia here. Georgia showing why they were the superior team and why they should have been ranked higher than Tennessee. 27-13. Honestly, I think Tennessee scored a junk touchdown in that fourth quarter. So it was really what was that score? 24-6 at halftime.
Yeah, and then it obviously wasn't the same system, but they got a little bit of that. They got a little bit of what Ohio State and Northwestern had to deal with, as far as just all of a sudden the weather hit and there just wasn't many. There was literally only 9 points scored in the second half.
Yeah, if it makes you feel any better, how bad people think Ohio State did in the Northwestern game. Tennessee rushed for 42 times for 94 yards, 2.2 yards per carry.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Northwestern is not Georgia.
Yeah, that is fair too. But yeah, we were talking about this in the social screening, Jared. Even though Tennessee lost,
Buckeye Matt says, imagine 40-degree weather and 40-mile-per-hour winds in the Georgia game. The SEC has no idea.
No.
They have no idea. They, on a very rare occasion, will come up to the North and play in September. The South has no idea.
The only exception that you'll see is, what was that, 4 or 5 years ago when Notre Dame plays Clemson and it's and they play in a hurricane there.
Well,
I think that's that game.
And we can segue right into this. The weather wasn't exactly great for Notre Dame and Clemson in this game either. They had a lot of that same wind system that Ohio State was dealing with, but not to the same extent. Not to the same extent, though.
But before that, though, we were talking in the social screening about Tennessee. Even though they lost to Georgia, they still can backdoor getting into the playoffs still, even with the one loss. They don't have
it's their first loss, but they were non-competitive in that game. We do need to acknowledge they were never in that game. They never had a chance of winning that game.
No, that's true though. That's true though. But where do they? Well, I guess we'll rank them here in a little bit, but at least if you're going off of the AP or coaches poll, which it's similar, it's going to be similar rankings. They have Tennessee right at 5th there. So could they, with Ohio State and Michigan playing each other, Georgia could potentially lose a game. TCU could lose a game there. Tennessee, you could see Tennessee maybe backdooring into the playoffs potentially.
I would say of the one-loss teams right now, as far as like their chance of actually getting into the playoff, I'd only put them above Oregon.
That's fair.
Again, like USC has one loss and they lost in overtime. You know what I mean? Yep. UCLA has one loss. I don't remember the exact way they lost, if I'm being honest. But I feel like it was a competitive game. I forget. Does anyone remember how UCLA lost? I forget.
I'll look.
But I'm just saying, and like, Ole Miss had a close game that I think Ole Miss's loss was somewhat close. UCLA got embarrassed by Oregon. Okay. So maybe it wasn't all that close.
They did. Yeah. In the end of the third quarter, it was 38-16.
Okay. Yeah. So never mind on that UCLA one. So maybe Tennessee is still above UCLA then, as far as their likelihood of getting into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but a team that I think that is gone from the playoffs based on who they get to play next and the rest of their season is Clemson.
Yeah.
Clemson loses badly to Notre Dame. Yeah. Clemson got a few touchdowns late in the game. Actually all of them in the fourth quarter there.
You mean both?
Both. Yes.
I've highlighted Spike's comment here. I've been told Notre Dame wasn't a quality win, so shouldn't it be a death nail loss? He's not wrong.
Well,
did Notre Dame get? Did the AP rank Notre Dame?
Clemson's first loss. They played nobody.
They did
next.
not. Oh yes, they did. Yes, they did.
They played nobody next. They played Louisville, Miami, who got boat raced at home this last weekend, and then South Carolina, and most likely it's going to be North UNC. And UNC is going to be their best win this season.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talk about the two Mario men. Clemson only had one in this year. They only had one based on their schedule.
Maybe I'm wrong. I think if it comes down to like the fourth spot with one loss Clemson as an ACC champion versus Tennessee, I kind of think Clemson gets in.
No, you would put Tennessee in there based on their resume. Their resume is so much better than Clemson's. You talk about they beat Alabama, they beat LSU, who just beat Alabama. I mean, those wins right there trump anything Clemson has done or will do this year.
I'm not disagreeing with your logic, but I'm basing this more off of what I've seen the playoff committee do in the past. And I've seen the playoff committee favor, not entirely, but give a fair amount of favor to winning your conference. And I have seen the committee look very down on teams who were non-competitive in their losses.
Mm-hmm.
And Clemson would have a conference title. Tennessee was non-competitive in their loss. Based off of what and then again, Kyle, I'm not disagreeing with your opinion on this matter. in fact, like, I agree with your opinion on this matter. I'm not coming at this from what I think should happen. I'm basing this off of what I've seen the committee do in the past.
Mhm.
Trophies matter unless you play in the are you kidding, my man? When was the last time a Pac-12 champion got into the playoffs? I guess it was Washington, but it's only been what, twice, right? Pac-12 only get a playoff team in twice. So yeah, not just the Big Ten.
All right, moving on here.
Hasn't the Big Ten champion gotten in every time except once? And that was when Ohio State got in over Penn State, despite Penn State winning the Big Ten. Am I remembering that correctly?
No, I think there was another time. No, I think there was another time that Ohio State won and they didn't get in. I want to say there was another time.
2015. That was a highly competitive playoff. There were a lot of one-loss teams that year.
Yeah. All right. Moving on here. Michigan and Rutgers. Michigan decides to play football in the second half.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like Clemson here.
Well, except Rutgers. Michigan won.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Clemson's done that a number of times this year where it was a close game and they decided to play.
Every team does that. It's
But Michigan has scores 28 points in the third quarter to defeat Rutgers 52-17.
Yeah. And by the way, I also just think that's kind of who Michigan is, because they just sort of wear you down with their running game. It's almost by design that the game's going to be kind of slow, that they're not going to jump out to a huge win quickly. They just wear you out over time. I kind of think that's just who Michigan is.
Yeah. 53 rushes for 282 yards in this game.
They're going to kill Corum. How many did Corum have?
20. He only had 20 in this one.
Okay. And they gave Edwards a fair amount. Okay. Yeah. I'm happy, and like, I still care about Corum as a human being, right? Like, I know he plays for Michigan and all that. I hate to see a college team absolutely run the tires off of a running back. It shortens their NFL career. It's not fair to them. So I am happy that they're starting to split that a bit with Edwards.
Yeah, and J.J. McCarthy didn't have that great of a game. I mean, he threw for 2 touchdowns, but threw for under 50% and 151 yards. Not that great of a game here.
And he took some shots in that game.
He did. These past 3 games, he has not looked all that great. He has not.
He's not throwing the ball downfield because of an injury he had early in the season. They are very offensively limited. As far as it's kind of like Penn State, where I said their offense is limited because Clifford can't throw downfield very well. It's kind of the same thing. You say you care about Corum, but you definitely hate Tim Biakapatuka. That's a fact. That's a fact. I hate Tim Biakapatuka with every fiber of my being. You are correct on that one, Spikes.
All right.
I'm a flawed human being, and I still have hate in my heart, and a lot of it is reserved for Tim Biakapatuka.
All right, moving forward, Jared. Alabama losing their second game of the year.
Been a while.
Been a while.
2 losses LSU, in the regular
LSU,
season.
32-31. And man, LSU had some balls to go for a 2-point conversion in overtime to win that. I don't know if I would have called that. I don't think I would have called that 2-point conversion.
We were having a very lively discussion about it during the social screen. Austin, to his credit, Austin was like, go for 2. Absolutely go for 2.
Right away.
And by the way, and thank you for owning up to it, Oracle. Oracle was on the other side of that debate saying, no, kick the extra point. No, kick the extra point. House money at that point. I disagree. I think LSU was playing better at that point. I'm not saying I don't know what I would have done. Because like again, we had a bunch of people in the social screen watching that game. Join our Discord server, discord.thesloopcast.com. It's been the evening games a lot lately. We get together in the Discord server. I stream the game. We watch it. We talk. It's a lot of fun. Discord.thesloopcast.com. A lot of lively debate. And I have to say, I'm not one to normally turn away from lively debate. I am a podcaster, for God's sakes. I didn't have a strong opinion. I felt fairly confident they could have held Bama to a field goal. They didn't the first time. And like they did get a penalty to help them out. I'll let you guys decide if that was a good penalty or not. But yeah, we need to move forward, Kyle. We're only 4 games in. We're like 4 minutes per game. We need to move a little bit quicker.
All right. TCU defeats Texas Tech 34-24. TCU just keeps on winning here.
They keep winning, but they're not passing many eye tests doing it, which is probably why they were below Bama.
Yeah, they needed a come back from behind in that fourth quarter, and yeah.
If they want to make it into the playoffs, they need to not lose, because I don't think they're getting in with one loss because they're not passing the eye test.
Yep, correct. All right. Oregon defeats Colorado 49-10. Okay. USC defeats Cal 41-35. And I know we talked highly about USC and how good we think this USC team is and all that, but
have I talk a lot about how much I like their offense, and I talk a lot about how they're just Oklahoma. Excuse me. How they're just, I have no idea where that came from. I apologize. How they're basically just Oklahoma with a little bit of red on the uniform, or with a little bit of yellow on the uniform. And they just keep doing Oklahoma things. Like, their defense is garbage. But then again, isn't that just what an Oklahoma does?
Yeah. No, that's true.
It really it wasn't really that close if you watched it, honestly. I'll be honest. I'll be honest.
Possession game with 9 minutes left in the game. It was a 1 possession game.
Okay, I mean, I'll be honest. I went to bed. I only saw highlights of this game. I'll let you two fight it out. Right. SC had it under control. 1-score game with 9 minutes left. It's not totally under control, but yeah. I also didn't watch the game, so I'm not gonna.
Well, UCLA had the game under hand in their game against Arizona State, 50-36 in this game.
And the Pac-12 is basically the Big 12 at this point, right? Like, it's just points are so cheap. A lot of point inflation taking place in the Pac-12 these days.
Here's my stat up. Oh, I know where it's at here. I had something here. In the AP here, the Pac-12 has as many teams in the top 25 as the SEC does. They have 5 teams.
Yeah, I'm just that's fine, but I'm just talking about how cheap the points are. We're not going to mention the Houston SMU shootout. Neither of them are ranked, so I don't know if Kyle included. Kyle did not include them.
I didn't, but that was a crazy game.
You want to talk about cheap points? My word. What did that? But the stats. I know it was insane, but it also kind of doesn't matter. Like, it's watching that game's kind of like eating a bag of Doritos. It was wild fun in the moment, but you're ultimately not better off for it. 77-63 in regulation time. I understand.
1,352 yards of total offense.
Yeah.
That's more offensive yardage than Iowa has all year.
We need to move forward. I have to be the you right now and say we need to move forward. 18 touchdowns between the 2 quarterbacks. I understand. It's more wild,
touchdowns than
but
Iowa has all year.
That's not true. I mean, that's not false. I don't think.
All right. Texas defeats Kansas State 34-27.
upset light, kind of ish.
Kind
Kansas
of,
State
yeah.
already had 2 losses. But
Yeah, this is their third loss. Yeah. All right. Utah has 2 losses. Yeah, that's right. Beats Arizona 45-20. I did not watch this game at all.
no, I didn't either.
All right. Yeah, it looked like they had that in hand all game there. Penn State defeats Indiana, who Ohio State would be playing next weekend, 45-14.
Penn State is finding themselves, at least from a running standpoint. I think if they're in a game in which they can just sort of load up and they have 2 excellent running backs. Their offensive line is serviceable and getting better, and it's honestly like getting better. And they're in like good position to like destroy lesser teams.
Penn State, you need to let Drew play. You need to let Drew be the quarterback. The season's over. The season's over. You got to let him play.
What are you going to do, Kyle? Lose 3rd place in the Big Ten East? Where's Sparty? Is Sparty coming?
More on Sparty here soon.
That was the segue.
Actually, next.
That was
actually,
the. I was.
That is next.
Kyle,
yes.
Kyle, you dropped it.
I did.
I tossed you an easy segue and you dropped it.
Sparty, yes, defeating Illinois 23-15.
Actual chaos.
Actual chaos here.
1 loss, Illinois goes down. When was the last time we saw? Yes, Spikes. A segue. When was the last time we saw an Illinois team ranked this highly, and you just knew it couldn't last? What did they fall to, Kyle? In the AP, at least.
At least in the AP here, 21. They dropped
Notre
7
Dame.
spots.
Behind Notre Dame. That's rough. Yeah.
Yep.
Michigan State getting, a lot of new faces. They're getting a little bit better as the season goes. They had a decent game against Michigan. They're probably a better team now than who they were against Ohio State.
Okay, Matt found it. Total quarterbacks from SMU, Houston, 18. Total offensive touchdowns by Iowa, 15.
I appreciate your effort, Matt, to specifically only find the offensive touchdowns, because we know how that goes in Iowa land. So your effort is appreciated, because I knew that took you a little bit of extra time.
UNC scraping by, beating Virginia 31-28. Not a pretty game here.
No, this much like TCU, North Carolina. They have 1 loss. They don't win pretty. Much like Clemson, they lost to Notre Dame. It is what it is. Like, North Carolina is only going to be so good. If they can pull the upset over Clemson, congrats. I don't even know how to end that sentence. Like, congrats. Like, the AC, I don't know. I feel like it would take a lot of chaos to get the ACC back involved into the playoff picture.
Mm-hmm. I guess this is considered chaos here. Kansas defeats Oklahoma State. Second loss in a row? Second loss in a row?
Third.
Oh, third loss in a row. Ooh.
Yeah. That's why it's like chaos light.
Ooh.
Friend is in the MSU band, and she said the stadium was damn near empty for that game. That's a shame. Michigan State fans not acknowledging how big of a game that was, because, Illinois was ranked. I know it's Illinois. I know the uniform's not exciting.
Game was at Illinois.
What the hell are Illinois fans doing? That's disappointing. That's disappointing. Yeah, no Illini there. Listen, the Ohio State game was mostly Ohio State fans, but Northwestern is 1-8 now. I get that. How are you going to be Illinois, ranked 16th with only 1 loss, and you're still not drawing fans? Be ashamed, Illini. Be ashamed. They were literally selling hot dogs and other food for $1. That's like some minor league baseball shit. I heard the weather sucked. Well, it did. We saw it at Ohio State, or Ohio State Northwestern. Heard the weather sucked. Maybe they were under the stands getting hot cocoa and hot dogs. I mean, for $1, maybe they were.
All right,
but I think the band member saw the entire game and maybe not.
All right, moving on here. So Tulane beats Tulsa 27-13. Tulane's ranked. All right. Pittsburgh defeats.
They're ranked. They're current. We're about to put them in the B tier in a minute.
All right. Pittsburgh beat then ranked 20th Syracuse 19-9.
Syracuse is on their slide, which we kind of saw. Yeah. We kind of thought would happen.
North Carolina State defeats Wake Forest 30-21. I think this was a big statement for North Carolina State, finally getting a good win here. They still just don't have the offensive consistency to keep winning.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's better because they got their quarterback back. They're better than their record because of that. They got Slovis back, but North Carolina's not getting. I forgot his name. Already. But yeah, he's not coming back. So North Carolina State's just going to be North Carolina State. Just a good defense, but just without their quarterback, they're only going to be so
Leary.
Good. Leary, thank you. I could only think Levis, and I knew that was wrong because that's the Kentucky quarterback. But I could only think of Levis.
All right,
best group of 5. Yeah, Tulane is, at least the most highly ranked group of 5. Yeah. Liberty is also doing pretty well, as is UCF.
All right. Washington defeats Oregon State, who was ranked 23rd, 24-21. But then Washington is now ranked. So
Congrats.
They kind of just flip-flop. UCF defeats Memphis 35-28. Jared just mentioned UCF ranked here. They're the ones that beat Cincinnati a couple weeks ago. A couple weekends ago. And there's a big showdown here. UCF and Tulane this weekend.
There we go.
All right, and then some other notable games I put on here, Jared, and we'll go to our board. I just put this in here. The Gophers, your Golden Gophers beating Nebraska 20-13.
These games are notable. Why?
Because it's your team. You always say row the boat.
I haven't tried to row the boat in a while. I've jumped off of that.
All right.
Listen, if they would have stayed healthy, they would have been a fine team, but they didn't. Mm-hmm. It is what it is.
Oh man,
because they're Big Ten. No, not because they're Big Ten, Matt. Wait until he tells you what the other 2 games he put on here are.
Baylor defeats Oklahoma, Jared. Oklahoma now 5-4.
Yeah.
I only put this one in just because of the slide that Oklahoma's in right now.
Man,
they've lost 4 in their past 6 games here.
Think there's any SEC buyer's regret taking place? Struggling for bowl eligibility. Yeah. Yes, they are.
They should be able to get it. They have West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech next. I think they could win 1.
They lost to Baylor. Baylor.
Didn't somebody have Baylor as their top 4 teams?
Did Desmond do that? I know you had like Pitt and some other stupid teams.
Yeah, I think he did.
Duncan says, "Nah, Vanderbilt needs a rival." That's funny.
All right.
They will play in the Celebration Bowl against Jackson State and lose to Dion. I don't think Dion's still going to be the head coach at Jackson State by the time that bowl game happens. I'm going to be honest with you.
And the other game I wanted to mention here, just because of how pitiful, in good weather, though, how pitiful Miami has been this year, losing to Florida State 45-3.
Or Miami. Or Miami, Matt.
Miami did not get 200 total yards of offense in this game, Jared.
Yeah, it's Miami. They suck.
Oh boy. All right. Bring up the board, Jared. We're gonna grade. We're gonna grade. Yeah, still broken spikes. Exactly.
Why is that on that screen? Hey everyone, that's my Discord, and that's
recording.
That's my recording. Why is it on that screen?
That's weird.
I don't know why that happened. This is me waving to me, the editor, saying you can start going again now. Good job, editor. All right, pick back up. Definitely no edit happened there. You guys saw nothing. We definitely didn't make an edit there. All right. This is great material. Yeah. Fantastic material. We heard it, though. Right. Of course you show up now, Austin.
All right, here we go, Jared. Here we go. And you have week 10 in line here, so we're good. We're off to a good start here.
Yeah.
So let's keep this up and move Tennessee down to A tier.
It feels almost too obvious to say I agree with you.
All right.
And then Georgia's going to jump Ohio State and move to 1.
Yep.
I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
And I think we put Michigan up to 3rd there. Yep. Perfect. I think this is where the top 4 should be in that order.
Austin shows up literally just in time to, as he's done the past several weeks, just like campaign for TCU. No, TCU keeps winning ugly. Reality of the situation is that they aren't passing the eye test. Compare the schedules right now. No. There is a matter of eye test, and TCU almost always looks like they're about to lose their football games.
All right. Let's compare. Let's compare if that's what you're wanting to do.
Because Austin, it's not every week, Austin. Ohio State lost ugly this week. Why shouldn't they? Because it's every week with TCU.
I've got receipts here. I've got receipts, Austin. TCU has. Let me bring this over here so I can compare. TCU has wins of Oklahoma, Kansas, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, which if you're looking currently them being ranked, only one of them is ranked, Kansas State at 23rd. Michigan's victories include Maryland, Iowa, Penn State, who is currently 14th, Michigan State and Rutgers, and they are winning convincingly in pretty much almost all of those games there. I mean, they played Maryland close, but all the recent games, they destroyed Penn State, they defeated Michigan State, and they won convincingly over Rutgers here. They have the better win compared to how teams are ranked right now. So yes, Michigan is ahead of TCU.
Guys, we went in at half tired. Michigan went in at half trailing, tied. Don't know why I threw an R in there. Went in half tied. Michigan went in at half trailing without the Midwest weather fun. I agree. I think that, again, that's just kind of who Michigan is. They're going to run you into submission, and they just will naturally sort of take over as the other team wears down. I think that's just who they are.
Yep. All right. A tier here, Jared. So I think right outside the A tier, Tennessee, I think Tennessee and Oregon, I think Oregon should go up to A tier now.
Yeah, I think we have to evaluate most of the one-loss teams at this point, because I think Kyle, move Bama down to B tier.
Move Bama down and move Clemson down as well.
Well, I want to have a conversation there. I think we should evaluate some of the one-loss teams to decide who in one loss should be A and who should be B.
That's fine. Yep. Let's move Clemson down first.
Okay.
Clemson's not A tier anymore. Nope. I'll explain why here. So Oregon, a one-loss team goes up to A tier. They have a shot of making the playoffs if they win out. Same thing with USC. They still play, or they still can play Oregon. They can win, be one loss conference champion, and potentially could get in too. So that would make them an A tier. I'll explain Clemson and why I think they're a B tier here soon. So B tier. Well, I guess you would put UCLA up there too. One loss UCLA team in the driver's seat there. And I think those.
I'm just totally giving Kyle control of this, and I don't know why.
And I think the one other team I would put in, the other team I would put in there right now is Ole Miss. Yep, Ole Miss is the last A tier I would put in there. You have a one loss to LSU, who just beat Alabama here, and Ole Miss plays Alabama this weekend here. So potentially we could see Ole Miss moving right up there, that A/S tier, when we talk about them next week, if they beat Alabama, potentially. But we'll put them in A tier. So any objections to that, Jared?
What is your thought process for having
go down? And Illinois can go down, by the way.
Yeah, Illinois can go down. You can't lose Indiana and Michigan State in the same year and stay in B tier. What is your justification for having UCLA and Oregon in the A tier, but Clemson in the B tier?
All right. I think the big thing is looking at Clemson and who they've beaten and who they have left in the schedule here. Because right now, their best win over who's currently ranked right now. Again, I'm going off of the AP because we don't know what the
I just want to say, I don't know if I like
CFP is right here, but their current best win is NC State, who's what are they ranked, like 20th or something like that?
Something in the high teen, low 20.
And their only good game that they have left is their championship game, which is looking to be UNC. They're not going to be in contention to make the playoffs. There's too much of a gap this late on to make up the ground, which is completely different than some other years with other teams who were ranked around where Clemson was about this time in previous years, but they had ways to move up. They had teams that were ranked highly that they could beat to move on up. Clemson does not at all. And the way that they've been winning games recently too, it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all.
I got news.
Caught up to them against Notre Dame.
One, I don't know if I like factoring in their future schedule into this discussion. I think we should only be focusing on the games that have happened.
Okay. It's still your best win is NC State.
I guess my issue is when it comes down, if we're talking about like who legitimately has the best chance to get into the playoffs, I'm telling you right now, I think Bama would get in before Oregon.
No. I disagree with that. Because Bama has zero shot of being a conference champion. Oregon does. Oregon has a better shot than Alabama.
Alabama has 2 losses, but they were both close. And I'm sorry, Clemson, Tennessee, UCLA, Oregon all have a real big asterisk on them because their losses were bad losses. What was Ole Miss's loss? Ole Miss's loss was bad too, wasn't it? We literally just had this conversation. I've already forgotten. All right, throw Ole Miss into that convo too. Notre Dame also absolutely destroyed Clemson. Clemson's also in that conversation.
All right, tell me who Alabama's best victory is then, Jared. Who do you think Alabama's best win is?
Just go through them. Just go through
them. Okay, Texas. Texas is probably their best one. Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Texas A&M, or Mississippi State?
Mississippi State or Texas?
The answer is Texas. Mississippi State's is not even top 30 right now.
I thought they were. I thought they were ranked.
Nope.
I thought they got ranked after last week.
Nope. It's Texas.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm sticking to my thoughts here, where Oregon has a much better shot to make the playoffs. Any of those three Pac-12 Pac-12 teams has a better shot at making the playoffs than Alabama. Alabama is at like less than 5% chance.
Are you pulling that from somewhere?
No.
Oh, okay.
Out of my ass.
Okay. You said 5%. I'm like, does ESPN have that playoff predictor thing up? It felt like a very.
They pulled that out of their ass too. So
I understand that. But it felt weird to have you like go like straight to a percentage. Anyway, nothing wrong with it. I just wasn't expecting it. To me. And if we're going to order A, which we have ordered A in the past. Oh.
There you go.
I'm going against the AP on this. That's where most of ESPN's programming comes from. Their butt. Is that the joke? Yes. Okay. I think it's SC. Their one losses in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
We only have among the prominent teams 4 undefeateds left. Those 4 undefeateds are right where they should be in S tier. SC's loss is an overtime loss. But man, these other 4 teams lost badly. So Tennessee I would say probably has the best. God, why can't I click the T? Probably has the best resume.
Yeah, that's the next thing that you're going to have to look at is best resume here. And it would definitely be Tennessee. So if I look at UCLA and Ole Miss here, Oregon's best win is, they're not ranked, but it was BYU. They have a win over UCLA. So I think Oregon should be above UCLA here. That UCLA's best wins is against Utah. And then Ole Miss's best win is nobody who's in the top 25. So if you're going to ask me, the ranked would be
Oregon, what was Ole Miss's loss?
Oregon, UCLA, and then Ole Miss.
What was Ole Miss's loss again? It was
terribly to LSU.
Yeah, it was LSU, but how bad was it?
45-20.
Yeah. Speaking of, we need to get LSU up
They
out
lost
of here.
by 25 points.
Yeah.
Yep. So again, I think it should be USC, Tennessee, Oregon, UCLA, then Ole Miss.
Well, Kyle, should LSU be up in this conversation even with 2 losses?
Let
Win
me get that.
over Ole Miss, win over Alabama.
They have that really bad loss. Well, they have two bad losses. They have the one over Florida State in the first of the year.
Right.
And they also had that just absolutely destroyed by Tennessee 40-13. By
Man,
27 points. That's a bad loss.
When was that?
That was 5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Like what game was it for them?
That was game number 6 for them.
See, I can almost like forgive new coaching, all that other stuff. I can like forgive them for Florida State, right? It's a lot harder to forgive them for that Tennessee loss. I could almost just like invoke Virginia Tech. You know what I mean? It's like invoking Virginia Tech. Week 1, who cares? You know what I mean? Week 1, who cares? Yeah. I'm over it. I could forgive them for Florida State, but that Tennessee loss is still bad. Well, I think it's really interesting because we talk about this a lot. It's not just if you lose, but how you lose. Okay. And a lot of these teams have terrible losses.
All right. So let's do this, Jared. I really think it should be USC, Tennessee, Oregon, then UCLA. And then, yeah, I'm fine with LSU being in 8.
Where was Ole Miss in that?
Oregon, then UCLA. And I think Ole Miss and LSU can stay in A tier, but I'd be fine if a 2-loss LSU team go in front of LSU though, or LSU going in front of Ole Miss, because just a couple weeks ago, LSU did defeat did defeat Ole Miss, that 25 victory over them. And I think based on LSU's recent wins against Ole Miss, their only loss, and Alabama just this last weekend, I think that's fair.
Still feels real weird. I feel like Clemson deserves to be in that same conversation with those other teams.
No, not based on their resume.
Does chat have any opinions on the matter? I really think Clemson, at very worst, should be like right behind Ole Miss in the A tier. Last place in the A tier.
No.
Let's see. Dead. Spike says dead. I'm assuming dead means keep them in B tier.
Yes.
I'm going to assume, yeah, Spike says yes. Duncan's typing, they'll get a New Year's 6, but it's too late to lose. And especially with a lack of resume.
Schedule. It's the lack of resume. That's the reason. It's not because they only have one loss, but it's because of how they lost and what the resume is. That's the reason they stay in B tier.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Kyle. Anybody else go into B tier? The only other teams I can see B tier, Penn State, no, they don't talk about resumes. They have nothing. Tulane is a 1-loss team. Maybe if they defeat UCF this weekend, but no, they stay where they're at. NC State,
Tulane right here. I'm gonna put UCF right with them. We're putting the winner of this game into B tier. I'm telling you right now, Tulane, UCF, one of these teams gets put into B tier next week.
All right, and the other teams: NC State, Texas, Notre Dame, Illinois, Kansas State, Washington. No, they all stay where they're at.
We don't normally talk about this. Because normally once we stick a team into M tier, they live in M tier. Did the win over Clemson graduate Notre Dame out of M tier?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
All right.
They definitely did. The way that they beat Clemson, they can move up from there.
Congratulations. It's very, very rare. Once we hit that button. Once we hit that button and say, "Nah, you go into M tier now."
What about Sparty? Sparty got a big victory.
I mean, we did we ever believe the Illinois hype?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Kansas State just lost, right? Yeah. Kansas State doesn't even belong to be over here in the batter's box anymore.
Nope.
Texas does. Wake just lost again. They don't deserve to be in the batter's box. I guess we can keep Mississippi State there.
No, Mississippi State lost, didn't they?
They won, right? In overtime?
Did they? I'm looking. Hold on.
They did
Maybe
what WVU does every year, have a crap year,
They
but
did,
reach up
yeah.
and pull down one team with them. I mean, yeah, I mean, we used to say the same thing about Pitt until they started getting good quarterbacks. You know,
Yeah,
it's the old
Mississippi State-
Pittsburgh super weapon.
Yeah, Mississippi State did win in overtime over a terrible Auburn team.
Syracuse does no longer belong over there. I guess we'll keep Illinois in the batter's box. Not that it matters. Yeah, it almost feels a little disrespectful to Penn State at this point, just because they're down there with a bunch of, I don't know.
Penn
Maybe
State
not.
can't move up. Penn State cannot move up at all unless Michigan and Ohio State lose twice here. And even then, no, even then they can't get in.
No, yeah, that's not happening. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I just,
Yeah, I think this is good right here, Jared. I don't think you need to move anybody else.
okay. Are we good? PSU has no control over their future. I agree. Chat, are you seeing anything that's amiss here? Something Kyle and I have looked over, looked past, some sort of other preposition?
I really think what you see here, S and A tier, what is that? 8, 10? These are 10 teams. These are going to be the 10 teams that can make the playoffs. I don't see a way Utah can get in.
I agree.
I don't see a way Alabama can get in now.
I never call Alabama dead.
I don't see a way that Clemson can get in.
I think that's a very
UNC.
hard. I agree with UNC. I agree with Utah. With Bama and Clemson, I don't know if I agree.
What's the difference between Clemson and UNC? The colors that Clemson's wearing? Is that the reason?
Yeah.
Both North Carolina and Clemson lost to Notre Dame, but North Carolina lost by less points than Clemson.
This is the same conversation you and I were having earlier. I'm not saying your logic is bad. I just think I know how the committee works. And you say, what's the difference? Their colors, their laundry, because they're Clemson? Yeah. That is the difference. And I'm not saying it's right. And in fact, I'll go the next step and I'll say that's wrong. But the committee has shown a little bit of brand loyalty in the past.
Yeah, in chat here is telling you, Jared, like there's no scenario that Alabama can get in here too. They can beat Ole Miss. Okay, that'll be their best win here, but they have no shot in winning their division, playing a conference championship to better their resume here. Alabama has no shot here. And they go into our 2 Mario Man rule too, Jared.
Well,
there are too many one-loss teams here.
By that logic, LSU. If you want to play the 2 Mario Man rule on me, we have LSU in A tier.
But
LSU could win
yes.
the SEC, though. I agree with you.
Yes,
I agree.
that's the difference. That's the big difference there.
Yeah, that's because, like we always say, don't lose twice. Don't lose twice. Don't lose twice. Don't lose twice. We've said that for a very long time. But
that hidden Mario Man is hidden in there if you win your conference championship.
I think that if you want to say hidden Mario Man, that hidden Mario Man's only for Kirk beat me to it. Kirk Budo beat me to it. The SEC champion.
Yes, it is.
God, Kyle, I had some major deja vu. I think we've had this conversation in the past.
Yeah. I think we should end it.
I think we had this conversation every year.
Still a lot of chaos that can happen here, Jared. And yeah, this weekend could be some really good games.
Really? I thought I took a quick peek at this weekend and thought it was kind of crap.
Which
they put Cincinnati in the playoffs last year. That buys a lot of time to just pick the 4 best teams with the best fiscal payoff. Duncan, I'm starting to feel like I'm crazy or delusional or naive. I swear to you, the committee doesn't care. They don't care about brand. They don't care. Well, they care about brand names because they're humans, but I don't think it's them trying to deliberately put the best brands in because of money. I think they're just humans, and there's like anyone else, like you or I or anyone else. They just think, oh, Clemson's a good team. Clemson. Again, because like we're humans and we're susceptible to advertising and brand recognition and all of that, right? They're not a sequestered jersey. They hear it all week. I understand, but I don't think they care. I said jury, didn't I? Jersey? I did not say jersey. I did not say jersey. Did I say jersey? Oh my God. I misspoke and we move forward. Sequestered jury. Yeah, they hear stuff. They hear stuff all week, and they're susceptible, like I said, to things said in the media and to narratives driven in the media. They're human beings. Brand recognition. They're susceptible to all of that. But I don't think they actually give a shit about oh, we need to make sure we have the best ratings. I don't think they care. I don't think they care what ESPN has to say. I don't think they care about ratings. I honestly, it's a group full of former football people and university athletic directors. I don't think they care. They have no financial stake in it. See you, Duncan.
All right, Jared. I think that's it. I think that's all the time we have here. Yeah, I think there's some good football games. I don't think it's as good as last weekend, but I think there's some good ones this weekend, though.
Yeah. It's this last week was good. This last week was real good. Probably will end up being like the best of the year, except maybe, of course, the Thanksgiving weekend, and that's always loaded up. That's just how that works. All right, Kyle. And that's it. That's the end of the show. We're over. I'm not going to bother doing any plugs other than to say, check out thesloopcast.com, and you can find links to all of our other things there. Patreon, Discord, all of that. Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's Corner? Yes, Duncan,
really.
Always be plugging.
I don't really. I know that Ohio State basketball, as this is being released, will have played their second exhibition game with their first game coming a week from Monday. or 2 weeks from Monday, excuse me. So on the 21st, Ohio State will play their first game against San Diego State in the Maui Invitational.
By the way, I just looked at the Sloopcast questions. I know we ran out of time, but just Nomad does ask a really good one here. And I'll summarize it, at least to the conversation I want to have. What happens if Alabama, if Nick Saban loses a third one? What does Saban is not a young man. Saban is not a young man. Could 3 losses be enough for him to call it a career?
Man, how spoiled is that when you'd be like, your team loses 3 games, you'd be like, all right, coach, you're out of here.
No. It would be Saban's decision. 100% Saban just saying, that's it. What? No. Not coming from Alabama whatsoever. Purely just Saban taking a look around the locker room, knowing he's probably going to have to start over with a new quarterback, and just saying, I don't want to deal with transfer portals. I don't want to deal with blah, blah, blah. Is Dabo their first call? I really don't think so.
No.
Dabo had a great run of quarterbacks, and he deserves credit for that. He recruited them. He coached them. He gets credit for that. I'm not trying to, but I think he had a great run of quarterbacks. And without a great quarterback, they are just kind of a middling team. All right, Kyle, that's it. That's the end of the show. Just like on Monday, tonight's ending band will be Pray for Sleep. Once again, name of the band, Pray for Sleep. They're out of Columbus. If you're listening to this on the audio version, just keep listening, and the song will play. And if you're watching us on YouTube, we can't do music on YouTube because YouTube's YouTube, but we do provide the link to the song down in the show notes. You can click that and go listen to the song and even follow the band on YouTube if you like it. So with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, this is Pray for Sleep.